20 minutes for Q&A.
And how for the candidates that are going, all will try, or all of you get the chance to answer the question. So it's not like half of you answer the one and the other half the next question. All of you get the chance to answer the question. So opening up the floor, does anyone have a question? Oh. We'll start with Marielle, and then Rob, and then Tim.
And Kristen.
Hello.
And then Kristen.
I don't know if you know, I'm one of your PRPA co-directors. So I wasn't here for all of your speeches, but this is more of a question experiencing what it's been like as a Kasama member going to our events. Generally, what was your favorite event that PRPA has hosted throughout the year? As you know, we hosted a couple of Kabuhain workshops, a couple of field trips, events like Veteranos Parade and Bataan Conference. And how do you see yourself in this position expanding and growing beyond what we offer you?
Personally for me, one of the favorite things that you guys were able to help work on was the Veteranos Parade, because it was really a chance for me to really learn more about how we participated in World War II, because I had never learned that information myself. And it really impacted me to the point where I even wrote an essay on it in my grad class, and I was able to educate my professor and even my other classmates on a topic that they had never heard about before. But what really moved me during the Veteranos Parade was that, yes, we did go out and help them, but we were also able to work with SF State in that process. So it also reminded me how, while we also can be working together in Kasamahan, we also have the opportunity to work with other schools and just create that feeling of just solidarity within all Filipino Americans.
So for me, you guys know that I would consider I joined Kasama last semester. I really couldn't participate much because just like everything's been going on in my life. So I'd say this semester would technically be my first semester, and I would love to give that to the point of like I'd say the most culturally impacting that PRPA has done, even if it's not necessarily directly from them, is Barrio, because I came into Barrio wanting to experience the culture for myself, knowing that this was such a big event, and I didn't know how much it would, bring me to like really diving into just the culture itself. I talk to my parents almost every day about it, and like it's crazy because I never had a chance to really talk to, especially my father, about my Filipino side, and just having this event really allows me to kind of communicate with them. Oh, and especially my grandparents. They're the ones that really, they brought the time, or they took the time to, bring me to where I am now. It just it really impacts the fact that I'm able to give that back to that side of the family, just a little bit, as much as I can. And what I'm hoping for is just next year, next couple semesters, I'll be doing every single event, just collaborating with everybody and just hosting it and just getting culturally into myself more.
I agree with William. This was like my first semester being involved in Samahan, so I wasn't able to go to like those workshops. And I agree that Barrio was something that changed for me, and it actually was like one of the reasons why I decided to run for PRPA, to like get more into that culture. And I actually had a tough time influencing my parents to come out to the show, because they don't like to come out much, but I was like, but this is our culture. I'm trying to show you that I want to be involved more. So even though I wasn't as involved, I want to put out more workshops and like more events where I could learn about my heritage and along with all of you.
Personally, I found two workshops kind of on the same level, which is one of the veteranos, because I did personally talk to the Lolas, and it kind of made me realize just what I've been missing on, since I didn't really have a grandparent next to me growing up telling me what my culture was or how I should be living my Filipino culture. But also I found the bye-bye workshop really informative, because I didn't even know bye-bye before that. I didn't even know we had an indigenous script that was specific to our culture, and to have something like that representing us is kind of for eCode?
I personally, one of the workshops, I didn't get the chance to go to many, being busy with school and stuff, but I remember one workshop that I did attend was the Halloween one, and I found that one actually very interesting because although it's like something small and like some type of thing that we might look over, because it seems like it was like more of like kind of like an entertainment, like educational type of workshop, but learning about like even just like small like ghost stories, it's just like made me appreciate the smaller things about our culture, whether it's just like, oh, the food I eat, the guy I get the chance to see, or just like being in my own blood, and just like anything relating to my culture. And I think that this workshop kind of helped me realize like just like appreciating the smaller things in what we get and what we have. And so I think very small changes can lead up to bigger things, and so that's what really inspired me about that workshop.
So my event that like sparked the curiosity was the Pecan Legacy Conference. Even though it was really long, it was very resourceful for me because it opened conversations with me and my grandparents. So I didn't know how my grandparents actually came to America, and actually like my Lola was wanted, and
There's still time. Just continue.
and the fact that I was able to connect the past with the present, and I did even more research in figuring out, surprisingly, one of the running candidates for the presidential for America next year is Tulsi Gabbard, and she was the one that actually pushed forward the Filipino veterano recognition. So it was just really interesting to connect the past with the present and then seeing a leeway to what the future is. So.
Thank you guys thank you for answering that question. I know I said Robert next, but I think it would be better if we had a question from the other co-PRPA, Mark. So Mark, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, other PRPA. Okay, so there's a motto that every PRPA lives by, and that it takes two. And I wholeheartedly believe that you can't do this position by yourself. And I understand that, people want to be close with some of the people more specifically, but in the situation that you are paired up with someone you don't necessarily like, or your beliefs aren't aligned, or your just leadership styles are totally different, how are you going to navigate that space, keeping in mind you do need to like bounce off each other and you need that foundation to work with each other?
I personally think that no matter who you're ending up being paired with as your co for PRPA, that even if you might not be the best collaborative together with one another, that the most important thing is being transparent with one another and not keeping anything like behind closed doors, and making sure that although you may have differences, that you use each other's strengths to empower one another and get through the obstacles that you may overcome. And so I think being transparent and utilizing each other in any type of situation will be good. And you also have other e-board members to also help you out. It's not just you two, but being able to be compatible with one another, and just like being able to assist one another in like any time, in any crisis. So.
If I can bounce off of that, I also believe that having open communication with your co is very, very important. And whenever we would talk to each other, I would also want to remind my co, remember why we're here in the first place, you know? And it's like, yes, we can have different styles, or maybe we don't agree with each other and all that, but why are we here? We are here to help support this community. We're here to help build up the community and educate one another. And if you're bringing different ideas, but we're all going towards the same goal, you know, I'm open to hear whatever you have to say. And you may view that person in maybe not the best light, but you can also remember that, you know, maybe you have some stuff to work on too. So also coming out of a place of humility and just being willing to change for each other.
With open communication, you also have to remember to listen to each other. That's very important, as well as remembering the mindset that not one person holds the information. With having two different mindsets, you're able to create even a greater idea together.
I think this really ties into the fact of unity, and just the fact of like it takes the co-members of ProPRPA to work together, but really, it really takes, every single member of e-board to, work together. And, publicity works with Australian, they're not necessarily together, but they work together. It really shows that impact of the amount of effort that PRPA takes. Getting from two sets of minds really could create the grander product. And how other positions really have their own solo thing. They're always asking for help from other people. I mean, I'm sure even our fellow PRPA people help our director of membership, help our culture directors. It's all really just all in one big unity.
I agree with what Bryn was saying earlier, that it's all about communication and it's working towards one goal. I'd rather have someone who has a contrasting mindset to mine, so that I have a different point of view. If we just had the same ideas, nothing would be moving forward. It's oh, I like yours. Let's just go with that. I think having contrasting thoughts builds that community where I didn't think of it that way. Let's think of other solutions, and with how Marielle and Mark are together, it's cool to have that kind of it's a duo. It's you're not alone. You have someone that's I'm stuck, I can't think of anything else. You have that code to go with you.
And I think I can attest to that, because knowing that you both do have differences, it means that you're going somewhere, because you're catering to a community with different personalities, and we're not all just the same person. We are from various backgrounds, and we do think differently as well. So having two people from different sides, it kind of helps mediate any of the discrepancies.
Rob.
So thank you for answering Mark's question. We're going to go back to Robert.
Okay, it's an easy question. So, who is your Filipino hero slash heroine?
I'd say my Filipino heroine is I'd say my mom, because she sacrificed a lot just to get me here and being where I am today. She left a lot of her. She was the youngest of all her siblings in the Philippines, and she left at a pretty young age to come here and work here, meeting my dad. And just her sacrifices, putting in with what she does just to get me and my brother where I am today, it's a lot to ask for, but she does it for me. And I think why I admire her so much is because she takes pride in what she does, and she doesn't let anyone put her down, and she's just very prideful.
So my Filipino heroine would be definitely my grandmother. So she came from a very rough start for their family. She was actually, during the time she was with her family with the Tom Death March, and the fact that her family is still able to live through and just be able to create such a lineage from here on out really impacts me the fullest. She also has a book written about her side of the family, her Laoyan side. So I'm the Francisco side. My grandfather's side is Francisco side. Her side is the Laoyan side, and basically I got to read about all the history of what she's been through and what her family had to work for just to get to this point. And the fact that she's successful. She became a nurse, and she found my grandfather, and they met, and the rest is history.
If I think about your words directly, the first person that I thought was my Filipino hero was my grandpa, because there was a story that I was told about him that he has a titanium cast inside his arm because someone was actually robbing their apartment, and then someone bashed his arm with a bat, and he actually protected my grandma from that and chased away the robber. So that's the hero immediately is what I thought of. And it's even growing up, he's not even my true grandfather. It's he's my mom's uncle, so he's not a direct one, but I still see him as someone as my grandfather, and growing up, he was always there and he supported all of my brothers and my endeavors. And even though he moved to Maryland, I still try to talk to him every day because he is someone who's like really important to me.
My Filipino heroine would probably have to be my Lola, just because of how she lives out her life and her regular values. Because ever since she was young, what I believe when I think of the Filipino culture, what stands out from like other cultures or like other Asian cultures is just how the Filipino community has been known to be so welcoming and so loving to everybody. And I always see that in my Lola, how she'll always just, offer food to anybody or always offer her place for anybody to stay. And she's always just kept that positive attitude and always treated me with so much love. And I talked in my speech earlier about how my family had just been going through like assimilation, but my Lola was the one who would always talk to me, like if you ever want to learn Tagalog, come talk to me. If you're in USF, maybe you can find a Filipino organization, maybe you can not be alone in that sense. And so I remember when I had called her and talked to her about Barrio and showed her videos. It made me cry when I saw the text message, but she basically said this reminds me of home. Never forget your Filipino soul. It will always be with you. And so having that so much pride in her roots and how it's being fulfilled to me really inspires me and makes me really prideful of who I am today.
So my Filipino heroine would be my Lolo because of the Baton Legacy Conference. I didn't know who to really talk to about this, so I automatically went to my Lolo, and he has Alzheimer's, so it was really interesting that he could remember that, but he couldn't remember my sister being born. So it just brought us together, as well as he was really excited that he was able to have that type of conversation with me, because unlike me, my mom wasn't really into it, and she was actually the one that tried Americanizing me and trying to go over that because she was ashamed of being Filipino. But it just started the foundation of that cultural missing puzzle piece that I talked about earlier.
So what do you
My
have?
Filipino
Sorry.
heroine-
No, go ahead. Sorry, I forgot.
It would be my best friend because she's the one that did introduce me to the Filipino organizations within my high school, and she's been really pushing to be able to make a change by kind of being an intern at the UN. And it takes so much guts to be like someone that's so young and try to make a change or an impact in a world who doesn't really see your ability to do so.
So we're at 18 minutes, which means you only have 2 minutes left, so I'll allow one more question.
Okay, we're probably gonna go into much. But anyway, so all of y'all or some of y'all know, PRPA holds a lot of workshops. We hold a lot of events. What are you gonna do to engage a lot of memberships to attend these workshops? Because there's not a 100% guarantee that even one person will show up.
You just started talking.
Anyone?
I mean, so for me, during my speech, I kind of said creating kind of more creative sort of events, because of course there's what we have for events, but making them kind of more I don't want to say enticing, but the fact that some people have their times, their schedules already packed with all these different school events and such like that. The ability to be able to make them more intrigued on I can allow some time to go to this event. And for me, I think one of the main things is allowing it always to have. I'm always being biased. It's music. Music just really I don't know. It gives everyone a chance to connect in some way or somehow. When a song comes on, almost everyone's singing it. If someone's playing an instrument.